How are you guys?
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. So, why were you guys interested in doing the show in the first place?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I'm just wanting to really just throw myself in the fire. So I'm thinking, what's the worst that could happen? And I guess dating people from your past doesn't necessarily sound like the worst thing until they actually show up.
Yeah, I think for me, I was in a super long-term relationship, and then being single was kind of a new thing for me, and I was already in my 30s, so kind of dating around, doing the whole online stuff, it just kind of got old, and you're just looking for some kind of spark, something to really ignite the fire again to find love, and I felt like this was the perfect opportunity for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us who live in big cities understand that dating in a big city, New York, LA, Miami, is a disaster. And truly, to be able to go on dates with people from your past and just kind of try a whole new experience, I was like, what I'm currently doing in New York is not working for me, so why don't I give this a chance and see what happens?
Were you nervous about anyone coming from your past being on the show? Were there some people you're like, I hope they don't show up?
Yes, I think I'll take that one. So I think that the list of the people that I hope don't show up was a lot longer than a list of the people that I do hope show up. I think similar to what Jeff said, right? I think that when it comes down to dating in some of these huge cities, you come across a lot of people, right? So the volume's a lot higher than probably what it should be. So having an opportunity to date someone from your past that someone else selected is probably a good thing for a person like myself.
Yeah, I think for me, I was a little bit worried if my exes were gonna come through, just because there's so much history involved, and I just don't know like if I could really contain myself, right? Because I mean, you'll see, like I get rather emotional sometimes, but I was ready to just start a new beginning, like and reconnect with people that I missed out on instead of people that I already invested time to get to know. So I was glad that things worked out the way it did.
Yeah, I think there was nobody that I was like, oh my God, please don't show up. I think everybody who came through, I was genuinely excited for to come through. And I felt like everybody who did come through, I wanted to give an honest chance to, because I know how much I had to give up to be on the show and kind of go through this experiment. And I'm sure they had to do the same in order to come on and see if we still had a connection. So I just felt like whether I felt like I had a really strong connection with somebody or a maybe not this, I want to give everybody a fair chance and see if we did have a connection.
Yeah. Well, these people are from your past. Were you nervous that any of them were interested in an older version of you that no longer existed?
Yeah, so one of the coolest things about having people come from your past, you get to pick up where you left off, right? So although we grow so much every single day and we try to become the best version of ourselves, where that person last left you or where you last left that person and what they thought of you at that time, it's really cool to rekindle those relationships and tell those stories and just remember some of the different things that you were going through at that time versus how much you've evolved over time.
Yeah, I think for me, like even the whole casting process, I was really worried that were they gonna find anybody that actually wanted to date me? Because if you saw me in high school and college, you weren't like, oh, Vince, that's the guy I want to date. Like, I wasn't like that. I wasn't like the hotshot guy at all. So I was like, not sure, who was gonna show up for me. And I think now I'm at like my prime. Like, I feel like I've really, have grown into myself. So I was excited to show whoever did come through the portal for me, like who I am now.
Yeah, I think it was a really good experience to be able to showcase like who we are now to these people. I think all of us, if you look back on, I mean, we're all in our late 20s, early 30s. So when you look back on that past 30 years of your life, you've constantly evolved from high school to college to moving away from home, and you kind of change and your circle changes with friends. And so these people who come through, it's great for them to get to see like, hey, here's how I've evolved, how have you evolved?
Yeah. And in the beginning of the show, they say statistically, supposedly you meet the one by the time you're 25. Did you guys believe that? Because for me, I actually hope that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, especially, having the opportunity to meet some really, really cool, really amazing people. Having to go back in your past and potentially rekindle some of those relationships doesn't have to be a bad thing. But I think that whenever you move around, I've lived in Baltimore, I've lived in New Jersey, I've lived in Florida, I've lived in California. You have no idea who could come through the portal. And even when the portal shows, you can't even see the person.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure if the statistics are accurate or not, but I think, just this day and age, like dating is just difficult. You know, like doing this whole online stuff, meeting people for the first time, like we're all so busy nowadays in our lives. It's really hard to form those genuine connections. So I can see why people will reach out and connect with people on a deeper level if they had grown up with them, right? Just because like you've seen different versions of them, like I feel like there's that fondness that's there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the statistic is accurate. I mean, I'm coming from it from a gay man's perspective. So as watching all of my heterosexual friends that I was in high school with or college, they are all married with kids, and we're not even 30 yet. So I do think that statistic is accurate, and I felt like I was behind on that statistic. So I was like, let's see if maybe my vision is clouded to the people that have been in front of me this whole time, and maybe I do have a genuine connection out there.
Oh. Well, you guys obviously formed a close bond as, like, I would say kind of the main people. When you were on the show and doing all of this, were there some people you were kind of rooting for the other person to connect with and not send them back into the portal?
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were rooting for each other, right? So I think a big part of the show was being able to, hey, Vince had a date or Jeff had a date. Now let's sit back and let's really digest the date and say, hey, what went really well, right? What did you like about the person? What did you not like so much? Because ultimately, we're dating two people at the same time. That's new for some people. So that can be a challenge.
Not you.
That can be a challenge after the juggling act. So to have that, the ability to lean on these two guys and hear about their dates and hear about what they're going through, it was really, really important.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, what Nigel was saying, dating two people for me was very new, and like having them to kind of lean on and, I guess weigh the pros and cons of each and how I was going to make my decision was like, it was so hard, but it was like having these guys with me along the journey really helped, guide me to what I really wanted. And the nice thing is, we were on this show, we didn't have any distractions, no cell phone, nothing. So we were really invested in just trying to find love and figure out what we wanted first. And I think that made the experience so unique.
Yeah, I loved going through this experience with both Nigel and Vince because they're two people who did not know me prior to this experience. So there was no preconceived notion of, oh, I knew him in high school, I knew him in college, I know him from social media. Like, we all just got to watch each other go through these genuine connections who were coming through for us. I mean, we'd wake up every day, we'd work out, we'd shower, we'd pick each other's outfits out to go on dates, and then we'd come back and just like lay in Vince's bed and say like, how was it? How'd your date go? And then do it all again the next day.
Yeah, you guys definitely coordinated today, I noticed. But on the kind of girl side, there was a bit of drama on people kind of stepping on each other's toes. How is it like for you guys to kind of have to live in that and kind of see people kind of not respecting? I felt like the natural boundary of if someone came to me, you probably shouldn't talk to them.
I mean, listen, I personally live for the drama. So like, if it didn't involve me, it was great to hear about and watch unfold because I was like, oh wow, like I'm in a really good place right now. So I think it's gonna be interesting to watch how the girls grow from the experience and how we all handled being around that. You guys will be able to watch.
For sure. And now that we're kind of coming in it with a more serious point of view of dating and not as casual before. Were there any deal breakers that you guys had in mind when you were meeting these people from the past? Like, okay, if you're into this, it's not for me, anything like that?
No, I wouldn't say there was any deal breakers for me. I definitely went in with an open mind. I was looking for someone long-term and, someone that I could genuinely just be friends with first and just get along, be goofy, be silly. And then, hopefully things progress and we can talk about the serious stuff later. But that's at the foundation, you gotta be friends. You gotta be able to have that connection where you can just riff off each other. And I feel like, on this show, I was able to have a lot of those type of connections.
For sure. Did anyone else have any deal breakers or were you just open?
Yeah, I mean, I came in pretty open, right? So I came in, I'm one to always embrace the differences in people. So the more like weird, the more different you are, the more I'm attracted to you, right? Versus you being like someone else. So if I think about dating or even being in a relationship at any level, I don't want to have what, Vince has or what Jeff has. I want to have what's mine and what's different. So for me, the more different, the more weird, the more spontaneous, the better.
For sure. And did you have anything to share on deal breakers or are you good?
I think I normally in my life have deal breakers, and obviously we all went into this experience as single men. And so it was not working, my deal breakers. So to go into the show, I was like, I need to just put all my reservations behind me and just revisit these connections and see if we are compatible. And maybe my red flags or deal breakers, I should not have overlooked.
For sure. Well, thank you for talking to me and sharing this kind of crazy experience with us all. And congrats on the show and your future love life.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. You have a good one. Thank you.
You as well.